What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my first impressions of Risen 3, another controversial title in the Risen series of games, the second trilogy from Piranha Bytes, and the very last game from Piranha Bytes that I have not played for myself. This particular entry launched in 2014 to mixed reviews, which is pretty common for Piranha Bytes in general, and like most of their other games, some people love this one, some people do not enjoy it at all. I would tell you from a first impressions perspective, it does look like they improved upon most everything from Risen 2, with an obvious jump in graphical quality as well as some quality of life changes to things I actually noted in my Risen 2 review recently, such as making alchemy more useful or even letting you swim. In addition to this, they expanded and changed some of the skills around, so needless to say there's a lot of changes, but perhaps the biggest change up front is that we're no longer playing the same character from the first two games. Rather, we are playing one of Steelbeard's children, or Patty's brother, a recurring character from the first two games as well, and Captain Steelbeard had been rumored to have many children, so despite not really being mentioned or appearing in the previous titles, your existence isn't that much of a stretch, but it's important to note that you do play another character right out of the gate, and what's more, you actually kind of die right at the beginning of the game. Following a quick tutorial to get you up to speed with the basics, which for a Piranha Bytes game is actually pretty solid, it's short, sweet, and to the point, sets up the narrative, and lets you get going pretty much right away. However, at the end of this sort of tutorial area where you and Patty are doing what pirates do and plundering a ruin, you get attacked by shadow creatures out of some sort of crystal gate that your character doesn't survive initially. However, after you are buried and your friends leave, a character named Bones, a repeat character from the second game as well, comes along and resurrects you. It would appear that your spirit was stolen by those creatures and taken to the underworld, so naturally you need to get it back before you turn into a demon, which introduces a sort of morality system to this game, which is the soul. As you do either good things or negative things, you'll lose or gain soul, and based on this value, it's my understanding there's a few different endings to the title, as well as wrapping up the series itself. Though, given the name of this game, Risen 3 Titan Lords, and the Titan Wars that have kicked off throughout the other games, it's no surprise that the cause of these crystal gates is, of course, going to be a Titan Lord that we will naturally have to deal with. Though one battle you're unlikely to need to fight with this particular game is getting it running, which is nice. Most of Piranha Bytes' previous games up to this point have some sort of technical problems, though with their recent acquisition by THQ Nordic, they have been shoring up their old releases, making them easier to get running. But in the case of Risen 3, you don't really need to do anything. It should work out of the box for you, which has been a nice change of pace for me recently, as the string of older games I've played in the last couple months or so have required a lot of work to get running, which isn't something you should really need to deal with here, which has certainly been a nice change of pace. But as we seek to ultimately fight this Titan Lord, we also need to recover our spirit, which requires traveling around islands searching for sorcerers who can do just that for you, or at least tell you how. And that's important because many of the places you're going to visit in this game are reoccurring places from Risen 2, though in addition, of course, to some new areas. Which I would say brings me to my first real point of caution for Risen 3. While it does seem like they took a lot of the criticism from Risen 2 to heart and changed a lot of stuff, I am a little worried that they're only going to rehash a lot of the exact same mechanics and plot points like we saw from Elix to Elix 2, which are later titles. Which again is mostly just a point of caution on my part. I don't know if that's actually true yet, but it's one of the things I'll be watching out for as I go to review this particular title. Though it is also my understanding, though I haven't quite gotten there in the story yet, that eventually you'll be able to join one of three factions, either the Guardians, the Demon Hunters, or the Voodoo Pirates, which expands out some of the build diversity that was missing from the second game. Whereas here we have exclusive factions with different content available to you, as well as exclusive gear for you, such as faction armor, etc., in addition to actual skills that you can only get from each of these factions. So this particular one is going to to require me to mess around with it a little bit more so I can experience these other factions as well. So ultimately, we'll have to see how that goes. But to wrap it up and save some of this for the review, of course, I would say first impressions wise, it seems like, again, they took a lot of the criticism from Risen 2 and addressed it and then expanded those systems. In addition, the game is graphically a pretty big step forward, though for 2014, obviously nothing too crazy even here, but it's also a much more playable game than many of their older titles. So for Piranha Bytes, this does seem a little bit different than many of their other games. Though generally, I would say that's pretty positive. Much like Risen 2 though, very different in tone from the original Risen, which might have set you up with different expectations for the trilogy, but going from Risen 2 to Risen 3, it really does seem like they expanded on a lot of that stuff, though it still does have the occasional problem with quality, I would say, as for instance, the main character's voice acting is atrociously bad, at least in English, so it's not exactly all roses. But as I move to review this one, that's the kind of thing that I'll be keeping in mind, because the game makes a decent first impression, though as I've learned from playing many of Piranha Byte's games, with this one being the last one, that first impression is not always representative of the entire experience. That is all I've got for you guys today. I certainly hope you enjoyed this first look at Risen 3. In terms of review timing, this one is going to take me a while. The next roughly week and a half are packed with new releases that I need to get to first, so I would not expect the review for this one for the next couple of weeks. But if you enjoyed this video or you're looking forward to that review, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.